Hey guys, I'm Dr. Jimenez. I'm an orthopedic surgeon and Jiu Jitsu brown belt. I'm here with my good friend, Faye Lynn Cherrier. She goes by, Professor Faye. She earned her black belt last year under Professor Bruno Frazado here at Atos, Atlanta. She did last year go to the 2023 United World Wrestling Championship and did take home gold there, which was pretty cool. We'll talk about that. She earned several medals in PANS, Worlds, all last year and before black belt as well. She placed 4th at ADCC East Coast Trials last year. And in addition to all of her jiu-jitsu stuff, she did a Bachelor in Psychology, Bachelor of Science, and she's a certified massage therapist. So thanks for being here, Faye.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the first thing I want to talk about was you've been training jiu-jitsu for 10 years, which that's about how long I've been in and out, traveling a bunch, earning my belt. But what got you into jiu-jitsu? You started with kind of a striking background, and what pulled you into the mats over more MMA style?
Well, I started when I was 17 for self-defense, and I tried karate and did that for a few months, didn't care for it, but wanted something, more live and more physical. And then I drove by this gym, and it was like Muay Thai, MMA, jiu-jitsu, boxing, and I didn't know, I think even how to pronounce the titles except kickboxing. I was like, kickboxing sounds cool. So I called, I made an appointment, I came in, took a class, and just loved it. I loved hitting the bag. It was just like a cardio kickboxing, but it felt legit, it was your first time. So that was really fun. And then I started taking boxing classes and MMA classes, and that's kind of where I started and where I kind of dedicated most of my time.
Awesome. And you never went back to striking? You kind of stuck with the jiu-jitsu, with grappling?
I did. Yeah, I did. It was for multiple reasons. I think the two main big ones were the concussion, and then just really wanting to focus on one. I split up my time with all of them, with a little bit of wrestling, not too structured, but they had some wrestlers at the gym, and then I did MMA, and then Muay Thai, and then boxing, and then once I did start jiu-jitsu, it was just like my training was all over the place, and I was okay at them, but it wasn't like I was seeing big improvements, and so I would just get frustrated, and between all the injuries, and I was like, maybe I should just focus on one, and that's when I kind of started. And even when I joined Knuckle Up, I still kind of dabbled with Muay Thai
cardio
and kickboxing and everything, and did a lot with Mo Travis, and she was the reason why I went to Knuckle Up in the first place. But so we would actually spar together. I was like, you're short, you're small, I'm small, let's go. And she hits hard. By the way, she's
Mo
like, we're
hard.
gonna go light, and her light is it'll knock you out. So
Mo is another black belt here at Atos, and you've been cross training with her for quite some time, right? So you knew her before jiu-jitsu. That's been a while.
Well, not necessarily before jiu-jitsu. I was already doing jiu-jitsu, but before I started lifting with her consistently, and I still met her at the gym.
And so she's more of like a lifting coach, right? She's a personal trainer, I believe. When did you start lifting with her?
So she used to teach, or she was in charge of the Knuckle Up CrossFit program. Mainly, I tried to stick with her. I liked her class. I did her cardio kickboxing as well. So I was always just going wherever she was. I liked her classes, very structured, very easy to follow, hard and intense, but
easy workout.
Right, easy, fun. So I did a lot of that, and then some other instructors, even her husband, would help instruct some of the classes for the CrossFit program.
Yeah, so you talked about cross training, which has been a big focus of mine lately, and the different aspects of cross training for jiu-jitsu. But cross training is also training at other jiu-jitsu gyms, right? So kind of the same word, but two different meanings. I love to cross train at other gyms, right? That's how I met you guys, coming up here to train. But cross training, when it comes to strength, conditioning, flexibility, all these other things, what impact do you think that has on your jiu-jitsu game?
I think it's been the most important, to be honest, just because of the size. But most of, the people here are male or significantly bigger. So I'm like, I either am gonna just feel like crap every day or I'm gonna get stronger. And so that really ignited that, like, I need to be consistent. I need to get stronger. And it also just, prevents injury. It structured my body in a way that I can, train safely. I can train with big people and feel fine. I even roll with people that are bigger than me. And this sounds bad, but I feel so much stronger than them. And it's a really good feeling.
Yeah. And picking partners wisely is huge. So we're two of the smallest people at the gym. Right?
Yeah. Right.
We said between the two of us, there's probably 230 pounds, maybe 235 or so, depending. I guess we ate today, so yeah. What advice do you have for small people, like small guys, small girls, specific? I guess females more so tend to be the smaller ones, with how to stay safe rolling.
I think you hit the big one, is just being careful with and selecting your partners wisely. I think a lot of people coming into the sport are, and myself included, scared to kind of say no. They don't, and a lot of the times they don't know the etiquette, they don't know that that's okay. Some places, depending on where you train, it may not, allow it or enforce it or be okay with it. But your body, you should be safe. You should be comfortable. You should feel, okay with who you're training with. So I think being selective is a big thing that I would suggest. But another thing is just lifting weights, getting a coach that knows, especially when you're new to it, until you can, till you got the form down and can do it on your own. I still don't even like lifting on my own.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just because I don't I enjoy the social aspect too, but I always feel safer having Mo there or Alex there, people that can help coach me through the reps. And there's certain things I can do on my own, like deadlifts, I'm comfortable enough now doing on my own, but anything overhead or a complex lift, I prefer to have a coach, just to make sure everything is good, form is down to a T. So I would definitely pick up lifting. I would get a nutritionist or a dietitian or someone that knows about nutrition and that can come up with a individual plan and make sure you're eating. And then just make sure you're doing the right things off the mat, like recovering well, and just taking care of yourself, supplementing with what you need. But nutrition is I think, a big thing that people tend to leave out. And people feel like crap after they train. They're like, I don't want to do anything. I just want to go to sleep. And I have those days.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. But the moments, especially during training camps, it's hard. I just want to sleep. But active recovery has been one thing that I'm trying to get better at. And in sense, I feel great. I'm able to train every day and work and, always using my body. So those main things: lifting, getting stronger, getting the form down, nutrition, supplements, and then active recovery, and just taking care of your body.
What are your favorite meals after jiu-jitsu? Because like you said, sometimes you get out at 8:30, right? And then you're getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to train or whatever, go to work, whatever you got to do. So what's kind of some good meals? Because people will leave the gym and be like, I'm just going to go to Taco Bell.
Oh,
and
God.
that's the worst.
I know.
Not just Taco Bell, but those
so
are the
true.
worst things that you could do, because it's not even, you're not fueling yourself. I would even argue that you're hurting yourself by eating that food. Right?
True.
So what do you recommend to people? I meal prep on Saturdays so that it's not even a thing. I just have my Tupperware in the car.
It's easy, yeah.
And I know exactly what I'm eating.
So for me, everyone's body's different, but for me, I started eating a lot more steak lately, just because I used to be anemic, and I had thyroid issues, and I really think a lot of it was just diet. I really like carbs, and I love pasta. Pasta and steak, probably my favorite foods. Yeah. So I eat a lot of steak. I am starting to, add some more variety to my diet and some veggies, but I really like sweet potatoes. But yeah, I eat.
So just lots of protein.
A lot of protein.
Carbs.
Fruit. I stay hydrated. I love fruit. I don't even know why and how I miss that, but fruit, I eat I eat fruit all the time.
And fruit's a great carbohydrate, a great type of sugar.
I eat a lot of eggs.
Sugar and carbs aren't the devil. Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you.
But neither is red meat.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, everyone tries to fit it in this the food pyramid, or they try to put everyone in a box, and it's like everyone's body's different. Everyone's going to respond differently.
That food pyramid's such old news.
Yeah.
Just like the red meat debate.
Yes,
Yep.
exactly.
Yep.
I'm like, well, maybe your body, maybe not enough, or maybe too much, but like.
No, I feel you on the iron thing, because I tested my labs last year and I was low iron. My thyroid was a little bit off, and I kind of went more animal-based, more meat and organs. I know we always talk about organs.
I see what you eat, and I'm like, you're eating good.
So heart, like beef heart. I like some turkey livers. If you've never had turkey livers, the taste a little different.
I will eat it, but I don't like the.
Liver's one of those foods that you eat that's like, this is good for me. And you just do it, and then you wash it down with like a steak.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like I'll make it with bacon.
I gotta pair it. I can't eat it by itself. Or bacon.
Bacon and liver.
You eat good.
Oh yeah,
I get motivated and hungry every time I watch your stuff. I'm like, all right, time to go cook a steak.
That's right, some filet mignon. All right, so kind of transitioning back to some jiu-jitsu stuff, there was a really cool one that I wanted to talk about, the UWW, which is the United World Wrestling Championship.
Yes.
It was in Poland last year, and I had never heard of it until I saw you guys all posting about it, and you were like, oh, we're going to Poland. So talk about what that is, because that's a pretty cool avenue that people can get involved in and travel and compete.
It was definitely different. It was my first time competing internationally, so that was fun, nerve-wracking, but it was just one of those like more for the experience than the tournament for the title. But one of my fellow jiu-jitsu, his name's Paul Ardia. He did it the year before.
Yeah.
And so he was posting about it, and I was like, I messaged him, I was like, what is this? Looks cool, where are you? And he kind of filled me in and about it, and so I looked up the qualifiers and everything like that, and there's two. You qualify for the team, and then you have to go and compete again and win that to
get a spot.
Spot. But it's cool because you can, good for me, because you have to just place first or second.
Right.
So I won the qualifiers, but then I ended up getting second at the actual team. So I still got a spot, but it was tough because it was like, I think 117 was the max weight. So it's still a little bit bigger, but I mean.
Yeah, because what do you weigh?
Right
typically?
now, well, I'm like 105.
Yeah.
105.
So you're one of the small girls of the small girls. Yeah.
One of them. But yeah, so after doing that, then the only thing is they'll pay a little bit for first place, and then everything else is self-funded for second. And I'm like, I don't care. Alex won first, so I was like, we're going. Like, I'll find the money. We fundraised, and it was amazing. We went to Poland, and we kind of were deciding just from finances and everything. We're like, what should we do? Should we spend like another month, out of the country? Because we just did a month in the Philippines, like in February. So we're like, we should probably just, limit it to 3 weeks, not a whole month. But so anyway, we ended up going to Poland and then London, and then we went to Italy.
Nice.
So it was really cool. We got to go. I'm sorry.
Mic malfunction.
We got to go to a few different places, and everyone that we knew, it was from Jiu Jitsu. So
yeah,
it was kind of cool. That was definitely nerve-wracking, but it was also like every time I'm competing up, like in the trials and in this tournament, and even the qualifiers, it was like, this isn't my weight class, so who cares? Yeah. And I guess I just put more pressure on myself when it actually is rooster, or it is, like a more specific weight class to me. But yeah, so I didn't feel as nervous. The overtime, I just remember it being kind of weird, and like you get one round and you want to be on defense. So all you have to do is escape. If you're on offense, you have to submit them in a minute or something like that. So I get out and I'm like, I'm done. And then the ref's like, no, keep fighting. And so we had to keep going, and she just had to submit. So I just had to defend. And,
that's an interesting rule.
And so, and I was like, this sucks. But like, my corner was like, yes, defend. You can get out, it's fine. Yeah. So that was the most stressful match. That should have been the finals, to be honest. It was tough. It was intense. She was, I think, Ukrainian, and I swear she was like one of the strongest chicks I faced. I was like, I don't know what's in your water, but you're strong. It wasn't like steroid strength or anything like that. Like I know when someone's on the sauce. But yeah, she's just naturally strong. But yeah, so that was really fun. It was a really cool experience. And then in the finals, it was extra cool because they had 3 mats out. And so they did all the women first. So they did my weight class, and then they did Alex's weight class, and then the next one up. And so we were actually competing at the same time during the finals. And I think in her finals match was the only match that went the full time. So we ended up ending at the same time. So as we're getting our hands raised, we're like both looking to see if we won, because I'm like, I'm having an intense match. It was close.
So was anybody coaching you guys when you were doing?
Paul actually coached me, and then the guy that was the head of the USA grappling team, he was coaching Alex.
Awesome.
So
Paul was there. Again.
He was there, yeah. He competed. His brother, Sergio, was competing too. Okay. And so I was like, can you coach me? And
that's awesome.
It was a lot of fun.
Very cool. So yeah, it's another opportunity for people to go out and compete internationally.
If they follow USA Grappling, then they'll post like their qualifiers and everything like that. I think there's like 3 or 4 before the team.
So talking about wrestling, I know you were an All-American in college. You were wrestling in college and kind of continued that on now with your no-gi and with the more wrestling-specific rules of the UWW. Injuries in wrestling, just because, I'm a surgeon, so these always intrigue me, especially in Jiu Jitsu, because I treat a lot of Jiu Jitsu athletes. We talked about previously blast doubles and how dangerous it can be, and doing it quick. I've had my injuries with them too. You had a bad neck injury a couple of years back. So can you talk about your neck injury, what happened, and then how you treated it, how people can possibly prevent them?
Mm-hmm. Blast double can be dangerous, but I don't think they should, be completely out of the question. I think you should be careful who you are blast doubling, I think it was my second season, preseason of wrestling. And before, and like during that preseason, I was doing jiu-jitsu still full time. I was also lifting, and it was my first time doing cleans. And so it's like this shrugging motion. I was just, I think, overtraining on top of everything that we had to do in wrestling. And I was doing a lot of massage. And I apparently figured this out along the way of my healing process, but I was breathing a lot with my shoulders instead of my belly. Everything was just overworked and really, really tight, and so my upper traps were just like and all the surrounding muscles were just really overloaded. So when I went for the blast double, I think it was just wrong time, wrong place. Maybe the technique was wrong too, but I think those were the main things. So I went for the blast double, and it was a girl my size. It wasn't even against anyone big, and I just felt it immediately. It just went down my hand into my my thumb and my index finger, and it first felt like a stinger and was kind of going away a little bit, and I was like, okay, maybe I just, maybe it's just something. I didn't know at the time. I was like, whatever, it's fine. And I went to my athletic trainer because I got scared. I was like, I've never felt that before, like down my whole arm, and it's still kind of tingly, like it's going away, which is why I was like, it's fine. But then she was like, oh, it's probably just, a pinched nerve, just shake it out and get back in there. And luckily, the athletic trainer that we had, so every year we switch athletic trainers. Sometimes I guess they may stay, but we had another athletic trainer who was older and a lot more experienced than some of the other athletic trainers. And so I was lucky that she was working this year with me, because the one last year, she was kind of on the coach's side. Yeah. And in wrestling, especially high school, and it's different now, but it can be like, you're disposable. Like if you're not dead, you're wrestling, basically. So it's pretty brutal. And so, and honestly, didn't know where I was going to go with wrestling. I liked it. I wanted to do as much of it as I could. So I was really trying to push myself anyway and just being stubborn at that time. But yeah, so that was the start of it. And then I continued to wrestle, and it was like, take a couple days off, take a day off, take a week off, do what I can. And like the athletic trainer, thankfully, was like, you need to chill. But then the coaches were like, we need you, because there was only not a lot of the chicks on the team could make the weight. And, we had small girls, but I don't know what they were doing.
Extra small.
Yeah. And I'm like, come on, guys, like someone just cut weight for me, please. Like I can't wrestle. But I still wanted to. So it was just, I was juggling between like putting it off. It's not that big of a deal to like, okay, it is serious. And so anyway, I ended up, seeing the season out, but it was still just like, I took a lot of time off in between. But it was one of those, like, I came back too soon.
So were you still having this numbness, tingling while you were wrestling the whole time?
It happened, the numbing and tingling and just like achy, hot, like almost like my hands would just stop working.
Yeah.
All year, pretty much. So at the end of the season, the timing worked out because after nationals, I actually did terrible. And I was sad because, I wanted to do well. I placed the first year. And so I was like, this is my year. I came in ranked, and I just, I felt like I was doing better. But I think mentally it messed with me because I was like, oh, now I'm ranked. Like there's pressure. I should do better. So COVID happened. And then I was like, this is a blessing in disguise. All the gyms were closed. I actually couldn't train. And so I was like, maybe this is all, just telling me to chill out. And so I ended up seeing a doctor who works at Emory. His name is Dr. Alufade. I don't know if you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know of him. I never met him. But
I went to see him and get some scans done because at the end of the season, I was just like, it's not getting better. Like, we need to do something. And so they ended up referring me out. And it was helpful because like it was all covered by the school. So I was like, perfect time. Yep. Time and place to get injured. And so they referred me to him and got some scans, and he was like, you do have bulging discs in your C7 and C6, or C6 and C7.
So like lower in the spine, the cervical spine on the neck. Yeah.
And so we ended up doing 2 epidural steroid injections, which he was like, I don't want to, have you do too many of these. It wasn't a substitution for anything, but it was just kind of like to help with the pain, and it did. But like I said, it just was like kind of a Band-Aid in a way. We're like, what do we need to do? So, and then after I saw him, after the steroid injection, I guess, didn't really like help. I was like, okay, what am I gonna do? And so I ended up going to so many doctors. Because, well, first I just went to one other doctor. I was referred to by this guy who had a similar injury, because when I was looking it up, there wasn't a lot on it, like as far as recovery time and what to do and how to heal it and other things like that. And what I didn't know was that nerves just take so much longer than muscles to heal.
Yeah, so you had like a cervical radiculopathy, essentially, right? That's like the medical term of the pinched nerves causing the numbness and tingling in your arms. Did they tell you? They did.
They might have. Well, maybe.
Yeah, that's what it is in like orthopedic talk. But it's super common in not even athletes. Like we see it as the population ages and maybe not moving as much, the neck kind of compresses on the nerves. And I've had it before. I had it, and I was out for a couple months, and I was freaking out because I was still in residency at the time. So I was still training, and I was like, this is bad. But what did you do finally? Because the steroid injections, when we give steroid injections, that's not the fixer, right? You got to do something else, like physical therapy and things to retrain the muscles and help alleviate the stress on the nerves. So what did you do?
Yeah, I think there was a crack in one of my vertebrae as well, which is why I think there was so much pain, and it was just aching. It felt like my head was 100 pounds. Like even driving, I had to like rest it, because I was like, it was just annoying. Like I was always stretching, I was always uncomfortable, and I was like, dang, like this is what it feels like to live with just chronic pain. I don't know. And I almost started to give up hope. So basically what I did, I went to this doctor, and I guess it just was a long time since my friend who referred me to him saw him, but he came in with like 4 other nurses and doctors, and he was like, I cannot help you. You are never gonna train again. You should stop. You should just start swimming.
Yeah.
And I'm like, first of all, who are all these people?
Yeah. Residents and medical students.
Maybe.
Probably, yeah.
And I was like, are these your witnesses? Like, did you let someone go and now like they may have like, gotten fucked up on your, I don't know. So it put a bad taste in my mouth. And at first, like the first week, I was just like feeling sorry for myself. I was like at the gym on the side crying, like watching class, and I was like, I'm never gonna train again. Like this was honestly one of the hardest moments for me in jiu-jitsu, because it was like, you're telling me I'm never gonna train again? Like that's like it. At first it was heartbreaking, and then after it was like, no, fuck that. Like I read this football player had something similar. He ended up getting surgery though, but he was able to, and it wasn't as bad as what I had, obviously. But mine wasn't as bad as what he had. Yeah. Sorry.
I was like, did you get surgery?
No,
I didn't know about
it. So it wasn't as bad, but once he had this surgery, I was like, okay, he's been playing, like he's totally fine. I was like, I know there's a doctor out there that could help me. Like this isn't a big deal. Like it's not like it's, herniated. It's not like anything like that. So,
well, they weren't like completely herniated. It was small herniations. And did you have arthritis too? Like some arthritis in the neck? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which who doesn't?
Right.
Like when people say I have arthritis in their neck, I'm like, cool, me too.
Right. I'm like, that's common.
Yeah. I mean, the doctor telling you, like, that's one of my big pet peeves is doctors telling people they can't participate in sport anymore, because people say, like, I think in the medical field we do that a lot, especially people that aren't involved in the sports. I have only had to do that like one time, and it was somebody with a congenital deformity who could potentially like get paralyzed. And I wasn't the one to do it because that's not my area of expertise, but I caught it and sent it to the neurologist that had to tell this kid, like, you can't train. But aside from that, like, I don't like saying that, because I think there's always a way around it. Like even if it's like maybe the competition scene or maybe this, we can still adjust and keep you with your friends for the most part. I know somebody had an injury here that was like a retinal detachment, and that's another one that's that one too. I've had people contact me like, I have this where the retina like comes off of the back of the, and again, not my area, but as a ringside doc, like I know that's a bad one, right? Once you have one and it keeps happening, you can go blind. So it's kind of like you tell the people the risks, but I still wouldn't be like, you can't train. I'd be like, this is my advice.
Yeah, right? If you do, maybe.
So I don't really love that answer, because my theory is like, there's still a way to do things most of the time, right? And with this injury, I had the same experience. So my musculoskeletal radiologist, the guy is a friend of mine who read my imaging. He like called me into his room right after, and he's like, you're done. Like this spine looks like a 50-year-old spine. And I was in my early 20s. And I was like, okay, so I can't train? And I was still early in residency, so I didn't know. Like I was like, yeah, that's a cervical spine, but I didn't really know much yet. And he told me that. And then I went to a bunch of my spine surgeon friends, and they were like, no, you can train. We just need to make sure we do the right things, get your muscles right and balanced. So same thing where I was like crying on the side of the mat for a week.
It's hard. I'm like, why would you say that? Like we never did any scans. This wasn't Dr. Alfada, by the way. This was another guy. But we didn't do any scans. He didn't even like check me out. He just heard that I had this, and I was like, I don't know. Once I started researching, then I was like, oh man, like maybe he's just trying to protect himself or his business or whatever.
Well, it's advice too. It's like, this is what I think.
Yeah, I'm sure he may not even train the sport. I don't know. But anyway, so after I was, done sulking, I started doing some research, and I also went to this chiropractor, and he ended up like strapping my ankles to the table, putting a belt around my neck, and like pulling it's like my head off my body.
Did like a traction, like a
little but like it wasn't like a slow ease, it was like all right, 1, 2, 3.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like sitting there thinking I'm paralyzed. Like this was during my neck like being fresh, so I'm like, I think I'm paralyzed. So I'm just crying. He's like, all right, take a minute. I'll be right back. I'm like sitting there. So anyway, then I was like, okay, chiropractors, I gotta be careful. Doctors, I gotta be careful. Like, who can I trust? And so I went to my job now, but at the time I was just a client. I went to Georgia Sports Massage. And I saw this lady, and I was seeing a couple different massage therapists at the time too. Most of them did deep tissue, but her name's Ray Long. She doesn't work there anymore, unfortunately, but I saw her consistently, like all the time. Because first time I saw her, she did a little bit of deep tissue, but she did what she specializes in is MFR, myofascial release. And so the second time I saw her, she was like, I don't do deep tissue anymore. I just do MFR. And I was like, well, I loved our session, the first one. So do whatever you need to do. And she just did it. And it was so powerful of like, after, deep tissue, you can feel like an immediate release sometimes, but with this, it was more of like, it stuck, like the therapy kind of stuck. Like I felt better the next day too, and I was like, okay, I'm seeing the effects. And so basically what it is just like a more like slow, gentle,
soft
releasing
tissue.
of like a stretching of the fascia. So every time they're like, oh, your muscles are all connected, it's the fascia that connects them. I mean, you know this, but for some people that don't.
Knows it, yeah.
For some people, and so she was explaining all that, and I knew, just from schooling and everything like that. But I would see her all the time, from like once a week, twice a week, to twice a day. Like I was just like, we're gonna get this, because every session I felt closer and closer and closer. And that was, I think, my problem too, just in the past with other injuries, but just not being consistent. Like I think what would have taken this injury a few months took it a year, just because I was like, I'm gonna take a week off and I'm gonna wait till I feel okay, and then
we go back
jump
too early.
back in.
We all do it. We all go back too early.
So yeah. So that was,
We feel
the
like
main thing.
1% better,
Right?
And we're like, let's go.
Back
Time to
in,
trade. Yeah.
Right. Blast doubles.
Yep. Well, good.
But,
and so now you're doing pretty good. You haven't had more episodes with the.
No. But I think a lot of it was just the staying consistent with everything. And I wish I would have known about dry needling back then too, but I didn't. And the MFR sessions, like I just remember one of the sessions she was pulling my arm and like stretching my neck, and I kind of just started unwinding on my own, and my neck started like doing these figure eights, and she's like, your scalenes are really tight, and like all like
the front neck muscles.
And then I just remember all the feeling came back into my hand, and I just started crying and having like all these emotional releases. And I think just from past traumas and everything, I have held a lot of my pain and everything in most of like my neck and head. And
traps, neck,
traps.
Big time.
So it was, I think, a combination of not just massage, but it was psychological too, like letting go. And I think a lot of people kind of, when they get injured, they're like, and this, you might appreciate this or understand this, but I get a lot of people that don't, and they just don't know, I try to be compassionate, but they'll come in, they have not had a massage in like 10 years, and they come in, they're like, you're gonna fix me, right? I'm like, you booked a 30-minute session. I will do what I can, but I never see them again.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, if I don't feel this immediately, then it doesn't work. And I think, I think that was my issue too before, was just like not being consistent. And it goes for everything, like nutrition, sleep. Like
that happens with the bouncing around too. Like I see people bounce around to doctors because they're like, oh, that didn't help me on the one time. Like, and maybe it does just take time, and you have a lot built up. So, I mean, I see that a lot with my athletes, or any patients. They've had these pains and these issues for years, and then they want me to just give them a shot or give them a medication.
Quick fix.
So, I mean, it does take time, and it takes finding people that you trust. And, with neck injuries too, physical therapy, neck strengthening, that's a part of my routine. Like I do neck strengthening at the gym at least once a week, or even at home. It looks silly. when you do neck strengthening, like putting a plate on your
does.
forehead or like a
But
towel.
it's so good. Yeah.
It's so important. Like wrestling, you guys are always like doing bridges on your heads, which I think is insane. I'm like, that looks really dangerous and that does not look pleasant. But I'm glad that you're better. Mine's better too because I've stuck to my traction. I do a lot of inversion table too, so like going upside down. But the last thing I want to talk to you about was massage, which you kind of brought up already. You're a massage therapist. I've come for massages with you before too, but I live a little far away. But it's nice to get massages. I love my weekly or biweekly massages. We talked about the literature. It doesn't really show any improvement in performance per se directly, but I do think it has a part through some of the other mechanisms. Like literature shows decreased DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness. It also helps flexibility, and that's been shown with pretty good evidence in the literature. What do you think about massage as like being a regular for athletes?
I think it's really important just because I think it should be consistent. And I think that there has to be a lot of other things that come into play in order for you to really see those benefits. I think when you tell someone what they need to do after you see them, like A, B, C, D, like you should stretch, you should do this, you should rest, you should, fix your diet. I think everything goes into play and it should just be consistent and it should be paired with other things as well. So for myself, I do trigger point dry needling with Lance pretty often. I would say at least once a month. I need to do weekly, but it hurts.
Yeah.
So I do at least once a month. And then I foam roll and stretch every night. If not every other night. I'm pretty consistent with that. And then I sleep a lot.
Sleep is like the number one recovery tool that people just don't even utilize. Yeah, they don't. I don't think they really. Maybe they just don't know. But some people, I don't know if they just don't know the benefit. But that was once I started prioritizing my sleep, then I started really feeling the benefits. So I think massage is really good for athletes as long as they pair it and they're doing other things. But every massage therapist is different. So just like with some doctors, maybe one is not right for you. So if a certain therapist isn't your cup of tea, doesn't mean massage doesn't work. It just maybe means that person wasn't for you. And there's so many different types of massage that a lot of people don't know. The difference, not just deep tissue is the only way to massage someone. Like sometimes it's stretching, sometimes it's MFR, sometimes it's, more relaxation, Swedish. So there's just so many different types. I think like diet, find what works for you and just be really open. I think one thing that is another common misconception with massage is that it's, they want like a quick fix. So they're like, one session and I'm done. Like it's not always about that, but I lost my train of thought. But I think also just, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, we'll come back. You have to do other things outside of massage is the point. Being consistent and taking responsibility, like for your own recovery. Because not relying on other people to just give you that fix that we've been talking about. Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, exactly. Well, what's next for you? What are you up to? What are you up to next in your personal life and your jiu-jitsu? And you got a lot of stuff coming up.
So I am focusing on gaining weight. I mean, I always am, but this year I'm going to be a little bit more diligent and consistent with my diet to try and gain some weight for West Coast trials.
Nice.
I really want to make it to the semis again with Alex and just put on a good show. And I've been doing better than my last tournaments before. So fixing my mindset to just performing well. So West Coast Trials is what's next. I mean, I may do ADCC Open, maybe a couple, depending on location and finance and everything like that. I'm going to try and save some money this year and then finalize some wedding plans.
That's right.
But hopefully 2025, or we may do a destination wedding. But yeah, that's the next big tournament. And then just whatever comes up.
Yeah.
Hopefully a super fight. I would like to defend my title at finishers.
Nice.
Or at least not defend it, get it back. And then, just competing, getting better training, posting more content.
Yeah.
Trying to be better about that, more consistent. Hopefully get my YouTube a little bit more active. And
So where can people find you? What is your YouTube?
my YouTube is Pebbleweight Style.
Pebbleweight Style. Okay.
And then they can also find me on Instagram too. I did start a TikTok. I'm working on that, but it's mostly
TikTok. I haven't even dived into.
It's too much, but it's mostly just the same stuff on Instagram. But that's Fatality123.
Nice. All right. Well, thanks so much for being on the podcast, and
Thanks for having me.
looking forward to seeing what you have coming up this year and next year.
Thank you. You too.
An Ironic Media production. Visit us at ironickmedia.com.